You can keep one.
Okay.
Good morning. Guten Morgen, dobro jutro. Salam alaikum. Everybody kindly welcome to our first session today on the 6th of December. It's the Cities Day, and we are here at the Digital Innovation Pavilion. My name is Miroslav Polzer. I'm with IAI Glotcha. It's a civil society organization, some kind of social enterprise. We are working on citizens and youth empowerment for climate action, for SDGs action, or to put it in simple words, we enable people to work for the common good on the local and global level in a way that is meaningful and rewarding. And we are today delighted to have Ethan Kring with us, our associate since a month, I think. It's
Yeah,
just
pretty recent.
pretty recent. We've met here at the Future Blockchain Summit in Dubai a month ago, and it's very inspiring to hear your thoughts and your solutions, which then connect also to what we are planning with Glotcha, the Global Challenges Action Empowerment, multi-stakeholder partnership. Yeah, Ethan, please take the floor.
Yeah, thank you, Miro. So I know that the title of this talk is the role of digital innovation in youth empowerment, but I do want to talk, and my talk is mainly going to be a little bit more of the underpinnings of what that sort of requires and where do you start with digital innovation as a young person. So to start, my name is Ethan, and rather than defining myself with sort of titles or accolades, I do want to present myself in the most authentic way possible, which is as a young individual navigating what is a complex world and striving to find balance between personal needs and global responsibilities. And as someone born into the digital era, I've witnessed firsthand the rapid evolution of the internet, social media, and technology. But today I do want to dive deeper into more than just, the mere digital fluency. I want to try to unravel the intricate relationship with technology and share the journey that led me to the creation of my project, which is called Here. So I think we've always had the idea that technology would sort of be our savior, enhancing productivity, fostering connections, and solving problems. And also, I'll make sure to tell you when to move the slides and whatnot too. And so, yes, in many ways, it has done that, but it is, in my opinion, missed one very crucial step, and that is that it's distanced us from our relationship. Oh, great. It's distanced us from our relationship to ourselves. And this is super important to me because this talk can kind of be summed up with a saying, which is the greatest thing that you can do for the world is to be your greatest self. So technology in many ways has, I think, although there's been, unsurmountable benefits, there's been a lot that has disturbed or diminished our ability to converse with ourselves and sort of distorted our self-image as something that is more of a product that is broadcasted to others, which in many ways has mitigated our ability to self-initiate and self-actualize as it relates to not just ourselves, but to the world and global crises and global problems. And another way to think about this is that in our pursuit of digital connection, we've overlooked the enduring importance of the heart. A lot of, this convention and a lot of the things that we see discussing climate action today is a lot about technologies sort of the head. These are solutions that you see as, A equals B. And so what here is trying to think about, what I'm trying to think about is how do you use technology to actualize our purpose, deeply, meaningfully. And the answer that I believe for this is that it lies in marrying this new technology with older technologies. And these older technologies are things that I would call cultural technology. So fusing our digital expertise with the timeless wisdom of cultural and communal actions. These are things like rituals, shared spaces, shared symbols. And these are the things that have been around for a long, long time and historically provided us with what I feel is the core of what's missing most as it relates to technology, as well as in the fight for climate justice. This idea of purpose and shared purpose. So now for a little bit of background about myself. My journey and this thinking in this project here began when I made the choice to drop out of college. I was very haunted by the climate crisis and I wanted to work towards it. But more specifically, I was haunted by a specific question, which is, why am I here? And what am I actually going to do, with this? It was extremely overwhelming. It was very existential. And looking back on that, I can see that this question was more of a self-sabotaging pattern, leading me to flee from challenges. And I wasn't the only one asking this question. I saw that in the face of global catastrophes, not just the climate crisis, many of the people I spoke to, youth and above, were also asking the same question because it was the immediate response to that existential dread that we are feeling. Why am I here? What am I doing? What do I do? Where do I start? And so a shift in my perspective changed a lot of things when I began to see that maybe I was asking the wrong question in the face of challenge. And so instead of asking myself, what am I here for? This ultimately became the basis of, instead of asking myself, why am I here? I started asking myself, what am I here for? Because it's this idea that I am here, whether I like it or not. So what am I going to do about it? Where am I going to put my time and effort into? And this ultimately became the core question and the basis of this project here, which was enabling people to find what it is that they are here for and help them to take effective action around it. And so this is kind of like saying, what is your purpose and how do I actualize it for myself and the world? So to start that process, I had to ask myself what the DNA of purpose was. What does it take to cultivate purpose? And how this question, what am I here for, could be a starting point and also a catalyst for cultivating purpose in both the digital and physical world. I'll cut to the chase a little bit. I went on a long research mission around the world. I asked as many people as I could what they were here for, why they were here for it, what tools do they need in order to take action around the causes that they cared about. And I landed on some sort of common themes as to what that DNA consisted of. Number one was it starts with self-inquiry, asking the hard questions, asking yourself, what am I truly here for? What are the questions that are haunting me right now as it relates to these global problems that are sitting every day on my phone? Step number two was education, finding out not just what you are here for, but learning about it and diving into it and figuring out what the nuances are of it. The third step was community, being able to find like-minded people, other people that also cared about this and also shared that purpose, and that this can be a local mindset, but it can also be a global mindset. Number four was ideas, getting with those people, using your education, using your community to start formulating what solutions you would want to create for that problem or to initiate that into the world. The next step was integration. So cultural and technological leverage. How do you take what's culturally relevant in the world? How do you take the technology that is being used in the world? And how do you embed that purpose or that solution that you have as a norm to make it desired, make it viral, make it something that's part of everyday actions? And the last step was action, which has a whole other subset of steps to it that I'll go down later. But that sort of has to do with what are the resources that you would need in order to take action around the things that you are here for. And I'll get into that as we go further. So because of this being the core themes in finding out what you are here for, here is more than just a project. It is a very modular space that brings together, people to create spaces around the causes that they care about. And here ultimately acts as a community that supports its own individuals, organizations, and communities to have access to those resources, to be able to self-inquire, to have access to education, community, access to tech, access to funding, access to ideas, and that can happen in a ton of very interesting ways. So taking a little bit of a step back now to this event and COP28, I really wonder if the deeper mission behind the climate crisis, as it relates to me at least, what it was for me, is also a mission to discover and enable your purpose. For those of us who are overwhelmed by the chaos of today's world, because we all have an idea of what the world should be here for, but I think we often struggle when we ask ourselves what the right thing to do for ourselves is in the face of global challenges. So this talk is seeding the way a little bit for a discussion to discern what everyone listening is here for, and to explore sort of a path to purpose. And I think that path is paved with the first step that I mentioned, which is self-inquiry. And that is the questions we ask ourselves and the stories that we tell ourselves. That's really important because our personal questions are usually answered in stories and not always facts. And these stories shape our lives and our desires and the world at large. And they can also lead to personal and hence global neglect or destruction if not carefully crafted. So the questions and the stories that we ask ourselves, have an impact not just on ourselves but the world. So, in conclusion, as it relates to climate justice, I really want to stress that finding answers to the problem may not always be the starting point. Sometimes it's about having the courage to explore yourself and ask the right questions about you. The major challenges of our time, whether it is the climate crisis or injustice or inequality, these are all part of our shared narrative. And these challenges, if we are able to discern and act from that space of what am I really here for, I feel that we can live in not just a more sustainable world, but have a more deep and meaningful sort of engagement with ourselves and our communities as well. So as we navigate the complex digital age, let's not lose sight of the fundamental questions that define our existence. And let's embrace technology not as an end, but as a means to rediscover and actualize ourselves. Let's use our heads and our hearts to navigate our communities, spaces, ideas, and actions. That's my spiel. And the next part that I want to dive into is just sort of going over the project and a little bit more about myself. So the first thing that I want to talk about, because this is about youth engagement, is what is Gen Z? Why is everyone talking about them? And why the F do they matter? I don't know if I can curse here. So I think we all do know what Gen Z is. It's a large buzzword right now. It's everyone on Earth who is currently under 25 years old. Obviously, there is other generations that are younger that are going to emerge, but for right now, we can consider it that sort of 14-year-old to 25-year-old. And this is the next generation that is going to be driving the ship for humanity and Earth. So what do we want? No matter who you are, being young is scary, especially when you don't know why you're here and what your purpose is and what you want to apply to the world. But you are here. So it's both your burden and your blessing to be able to choose what it is that you want to spend time caring about and what you want to spend time working towards. So Gen Z is already starting to embrace that choice to be here for something greater. They can be statistically considered the most socially and environmentally conscious, consumer and creator online. And young people really want, I think, better ways to be here for the things that matter to them. So why do we want it? As young people growing up in the 21st century, we see absolutely everything, from Fortnite videos to street riots. The global stage is sitting in our pockets on our phones, and it feels insane and confusing. And sure, you could call this the creator economy, but given the despair and anger that you see in our creations, I think what we really want is if I could say it, a purpose economy, a way for us to connect based on these deeper desires and to create things based on those deeper needs. So how do we solve this? The very best thing you can do for the world is to make the most of yourself. This is the exact philosophy. As much as the world's problems are a shared experience, you can't help the world if you don't know how to help yourself. And it's especially hard to help yourself when we are collectively facing the world alone. What we need most is not a new technology or idea, but rather a better way to self-actualize and activate. This means a clear path, better tools, and a way to do it together. So this is ultimately what Here wants to provide in recognition of Gen Z's existentialism, their nihilism, or their drive or desperation for purpose, action, and clarity. Here wants to create a community that can provide access to IRL space, access to new tools and tech, access to funding, access to like minds, and most importantly, in my opinion, which is access to education. So how are we doing this, and how is Here starting to these ideas? And we're a pretty new project. We're a small project, but we're trying to push this pretty broad and big narrative forward. So number one is the Here Fest. The Here Fest is a global concert series dedicated to creating hyperlocal action within various cities around the world. Each Here Fest brings together local musicians, businesses, and communities to support local art organizations and causes. So the first one that we did in the slides in this photo was from Here for Los Angeles. That was a festival that brought together 3 organizations focusing on homelessness and housing, arts education, and sustainability. And the idea was to bring local Los Angeles-based artists and create a benefit concert that we thought was really not just impactful, but also, frankly, for lack of a better word, cool. Something that we thought was really culturally relevant and interesting and engaged people in the narrative in a new way. Number 2 is the Here space. And we've done a lot of these spaces around the world. We did them when we did some of our research mission. And the idea for the Here space is to get, a nonprofit, an organization, social movement, or a person that has a cause that's really meaningful to them, and to create a space where they can come together and ideate solutions to that problem. And this means bringing together not just, a one-size-fits-all, not just people who care about that problem, but people from all areas and all aspects of life to, diversify the ideation that happens in those spaces. And it's usually about 40 to 50 people. We split you up in groups, and we find out, it's a lot more walking the walk than talking the talk. We'll spend maybe 5 to 6 hours together coming up with a really clear and concise solution to whatever that problem that nonprofit or organization or person is dealing with. And then we'll pitch those ideas and try to find micro grants to support those ideas and turn them into realities. So the next one is some more wacky ones. We did this thing called the mobile Here space. We got this box truck and we drove it around, and we did a record sale for charity for a music program. We did a DJ set that was raising money for local artists. And we even did a Fill the Truck event where we brought this event to do sort of a truck rave. And everyone who came, your ticket to get in was that you had to bring supplies and put it into the truck as donations that would go out to a homeless shelter in Skid Row. So these are three of the mini events that we did with this mobile Here space. The last one is the Here platform, which is something that we're still working on. But the idea was, how can you productize this idea a little bit of Here? How can you make a toolkit that exists not as an app or a website or a platform, but something that exists, a really modular tool that connects to Instagram or TikTok or other websites or events that can really connect to anything, but instill that idea of impact into it. So the premise of this is to have it act as a wallet badge. And so it exists in your Apple or Android wallet. And that from that wallet badge, you should be able to have access to organizations, partners, ways to donate, community actions, petitions, content, basically a whole suite of what you would need to take action around a cause that you care about. And similar to like a Linktree, you can create this badge for any cause that you care about, share it with friends, share it, to create an event, anything. So this is super interesting. This is still in beta, but this is the one thing that we're working on that we think is really interesting too. So the next part of this talk is sort of more of an immersive workshop. I know there's not too many people in here, but the main idea for this is finding out what you are here for at COP28. We are here and we have, I think, a lot of ideas about what we want to get out of this. And I think we also have a lot of ideas that are, personally motivated, globally motivated, and it can get a little bit muddy. And so I wanted to use this talk as an opportunity to help people discern what it is they are here for and keep that as sort of a badge of honor to walk through the rest of COP knowing this is why I am here. So if we want to take out our phones or any piece of paper, the first prompt that I would give is reflecting on your personal journey. So the first thing that I would start with is to reflect on a moment in your life when you felt deeply connected to climate justice or environmental engagement. And a little bit of, to help you dive into that. Number one is, what is the story there that you had? What was the beginning, the middle, and the end, where it was that moment or a string of moments where this was something that became really meaningful to you. The next piece was, what was the angle? What pulled at your heart? Was it people? Was it different aspects of the climate crisis? Things like water, plastics, earth, air quality, education, injustice, justice. So what was the emotion behind it is the most important thing in defining what you're here for. This is the thing that I want to tap into the most, which is, what did you feel when you were inspired or moved about climate action, climate justice? Did you feel anger? Did you feel hope? Did you feel fear? So that's the first step. And if we want to, we can, share those however we want to do this. But I'll move on to the next one. Skills and passions. So practical application of what it is that you can provide, given what it is that you feel. So this would basically be listing skills and passions. What are your personal passions or skills, social, career, etc. And how can they be applied to the impact of climate justice and sustainability when you think back on the time that it moved you? The next step is learning and growth. So what do you hope to learn, or how do you hope to grow at COP26? I know that's a very obvious, maybe crass question, but I think we don't. I think we think about it unconsciously, and we often don't really sit down and give voice to, why this event? What do I want to get out of it? So the first step is double down on your weaknesses. Is there an angle within climate action that you need to learn more about to sustain your work or to increase your impact or awareness? What is the thing that you know that in the world of climate action that you want to learn more about or you need to learn more about? The next is, what do you want to achieve while you're here? And that has both personal implications, mainly personal implications. What is it that I want to get out of this event? And that has sort of a twofold approach, which is immediate rewards or ideas, connections, that kind of thing. But the second is, how do you want to feel when you leave? Do you want to feel accomplished? Do you want to feel more inspired or more motivated? Do you want to maybe just avoid the feeling of, oh my God, this was not beneficial, So defining how you want to feel when you leave this place. So crafting your purpose statement. After you go through those 3 prompts, it's basically reflecting back on those responses and consider that personal journey, skills and passions, learning and goals, and envision impact, intertwining those. And that, I hope, will give you an idea of being able to solidify what it is I am here for. So number 1 is identify the key themes. Look for reoccurring themes or ideas in your responses. This could be the emotions or the actions or other patterns that you're noticing across all of those. Number 2 is connect personal and global. How do your personal attributes align with the goals of COP28 and broader climate action? What do you want to achieve while you're here? And what do you want COP28 to achieve? That's the other thing that I think we don't think about all the time when we go to these large events, which is, we have a right to hold these conventions almost accountable for things that they say they want to do or will do. And how do we want to be, as the audience here, how do we want to be the ones that can witness how they achieve those, if they achieve those? And number 3 is draft your statement. So it's basically, you would want to combine this into your concise, mission here statement that says, my name is blank and I am here for X. That can be one word, that can be a goal, that can be a sentence, but I would keep it as short and sweet as possible, as something that you can ring in your head. I wanted us to write it on the back of our badges, but we don't have access to a Sharpie, so I'm figuring you can write it in your phone or, write it on a pen, keep it in your pocket, that kind of thing. And this is the end of my slides. So this is pretty much what I want to wrap in on is as it pertains to the role of digital innovation and youth. I think that defining the starting point of this is why I'm here, this is what I want to be here for in that space is super crucial, often overlooked. And so I just want to remind people that, the questions that you ask yourself while you're in these spaces is often more important than the answers, because once you find the answers, these can be sort of the lighthouse that guides you through all of that chaos that can occur in these spaces, in these global challenges, personal dilemmas. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you, guys.
Bravo. Thank you very much, Ethan. It's so important to have really this strategic approach to reflect about goals and strategies and networks and designing. It's a little bit holding. Could we reduce something? Well, I switched this one over.
Yeah.
Yours was not holding. Yeah, this is better. So yeah, I would like to make now a little bit of a bridge to the work that we are doing with IAI Glotcha. And our organization, IAI, stands for International Association for the Advancement of Innovative Approaches to Global Challenges. So it's about a systemic innovation approach. And here we see that on the individual level, we feel the global challenges, we feel the need to take action, but we know it's not enough to have to do it alone. We have to connect. We have to build a community of those who are affected by global challenges. It's everybody. So we need to build systems in which people are knowledgeable, inspired, and motivated to take action, which is good for them and good for the global community to effectively address global challenges. And it's really this kind of reflection of the individual, which then makes more aware that the global dimension of our existence is becoming more and more important. It was in the past, let's say 50 years or so ago, a person was just thinking what are the key factors of my well-being. It is family, job, and so. But nowadays, even if you have a wonderful partner, wonderful family, kids, and a job, it could be that tomorrow there's a storm which will destroy everything that you have. And so we have to broaden our understanding what our action space is, what our challenges are. And with this kind of systemic I'm here for in the world, but also in these global processes, global communities, is very important. So I'm very happy to have you with us, and that you will then, with your ecosystem, with your movement, somehow be also part of our meta movement, as we want to really help you and help also others who are working on this kind of initiatives to be successful. And perhaps to have a little bit of discussion, we have Tom Mujica today here from Venezuela, an artist, activist, and he was with us in August in Klagenfurt for the preparation of our Glotcha co-creation festival and for our digital art for climate art competition. Would you like to share what came to your mind, your answers to these questions that Ethan has asked?
Thank you. Thank you for this presentation. I really like the workshop part. So I took the photographies of the first slides in order to answer the first one, the first prompt. You said that reflect a moment in your life when you felt deeply connected to the climate justice, and it was just when I started working on Web3 like 3 years ago. I started with an organization called Plastics. What they do is that they create NFT that are backed with guarantees of recycled plastic. So in that way, they can give more funds to the recycle companies. So in that moment, I didn't know that only the 80% of the plastic is recycled in the world. Oh no, less than, yes, is the I think that less than 20% of plastic is recycled. So the 80% is like Iceland of plastic, I don't know, in the ocean and stuff. So that day I realized that we can do something regarding that with art, with technology. And that was like a life-changing moment for me. So what I expect in COP, what I expect to take from this experience. This is my first time here, so I am working every day with artists. I'm working every day with creators, like onboarding them in how they can use crypto economy, how they can use crypto art in order to maintain themselves with their creations. You know how to survive with just being a creator. So I think that besides creating art, we can support this kind of initiatives. So I think that is my goal here today. Well, for the days that I'm going to be here, the thing is to, bring more creators, gain experience in order to keep onboarding artists into this world of innovation.
As we have another 10 minutes or so, would you be willing to explain a little bit more about the app that you have developed, how its functionality is, and how you think it will be attractive for people?
Yeah, so I can shoot back here. The app is something that we've been trying to work on for a really long time, and this is almost like an intermediate step of where we want to take it. The first idea that started this platform was basically trying to figure out what we would call it as neutral territory tools. So not creating a dedicated app or a dedicated platform, website, or even a profile on social media. The idea was, how can you instill narratives into social platforms? And the first version of this, the first idea that it started with, was the reason why we have this logo, the less than sign. We call that the here for sign, or the here tag, because the first idea with the platform was examining, like I said, with cultural technologies, one of the biggest themes, especially when it comes to social movements historically, is shared symbols. And symbols act as these unifying tools that allow people to come together to share a narrative and take action around it. And these are things like, a symbol can be a person, a symbol can be someone like, Martin Luther King, a symbol can be the peace sign. And one of the things that I was really interested in was the symbols that you never think about that are stationary on all platforms. So things like the follow button or the like button, and most importantly, the hashtag, because the hashtag is a symbol that doesn't mean anything in and of itself, but it is a contextual aggregation tool. So when I say hashtag climate action or hashtag pizza, I start getting ads about those things. I can find other people in that space. And so that was something that was really interesting to me, was, can you inject almost a third keystroke that had to do with what am I here for? Whether it was a cause or an idea or a crisis solution. Can you inject a third keystroke into social media that designated what you were here for and helped you find other people, helped you connect to other causes, helped create mutual aid, helped create donations, and that this could be a tag that doesn't necessarily have its own dedicated platform. It could be integrated into Instagram or a New York Times article, or even a product. The really crass version of it is, you could say, this Starbucks drink is here for, UNICEF, and that dictates to the consumer, when they purchase this product, portion is going towards that organization. So it's a more streamlined and integrated approach, as opposed to making a dedicated space. Because I think the problem that we're reaching right now is a lot of people are coming up with their own platforms and tools, and that saying, if you build it, they will come, has started to become a fallacy. And so if all of the tools already kind of exist, so can we create something that just integrates itself into all the existing tools as a pipeline, a do-good pipeline across these tools? So the platform is our starting point with that, because we're doing this festival series, and that's what I'm putting most of my effort in on the day-to-day basis. Our next one is coming up on February 10th in New York, here for New York. And one of the things that we were thinking about, and why we chose to make it a badge in the wallet, was because if we can make that the ticket to get into the event, we can maybe solve this problem, which is, you get 3,000 people together at an event, or even at COP28, but what happens when everyone leaves? It completely disperses. So how can you sustain momentum and sustain action even after the event? So the idea is that you download this badge as a ticket to get into the event, but even after the event ends, we are giving you push notifications, geolocation notifications on ways to connect with people, to keep getting involved with the causes that were supported. And that this is a real low barrier starting point for us to start instilling that idea of a tool that can be used after large groups of people come together, and that tool can be used for us as a launching pad to start making these integrative solutions, things like the tag, that basically can become, as I was talking about, normalized parts of digital, social, and consumer habits. So I think that pretty much sums it up. That's giving a good overview. So yeah.
Thank you very much. You've started your introduction with explaining also what is Gen Z, but now it's also a good point perhaps to talk about the generation Web 3.0, somehow the community, because that's somehow also network of people that can work together. And here I would like to give the word briefly to Mari to introduce yourself, NFT artist and Web3 pioneer in Japan. Would you like to say a few words what you think about these kind of solutions, and what do you think that Web3 can bring to the COP and to global SDGs and climate efforts?
Okay, thank you for the opportunity. I'm here. My background is artist, but I'm also working with Web3 NFT stuff for 3 years. Based in Japan, but I'm traveling around after the COVID, and I believe this Web3 kind of crypto, but also traceability and also the membership. So NFT could be really useful for NFT, and also this solution is really useful for making communities and continuously. So this application, I'm really impressed. I wanted to make this kind of a community as well. So I'm here. Actually, I'm here for helping this digital individual pavilion for middle, but also I this year digital climate for digital for climate. In Japan, we make award. So we want to create more community among the artists, creators. So, and also participating this kind of event is also making all the history, or you say, what do you say, cryptography, like a graphics of, or yeah, visual. Yes, yes. Could be useful for this kind of platform. And yes, I'm really glad I can listen to this presentation today. And yes, I'm gonna join this, and it's okay.
And something that's also just yesterday we've met somebody from Perceptions TV or so, what could be then also added into such platforms is nowadays with this digital innovation connected with blockchain, and so there can be TV channels, digital streaming TV channels at very low cost. And so your communities, your fest communities, and also we will do it for our Glotcha Co-Creation Festival and our Digital Art for Climate, Art and Music competition. We will also start setting up such a channel. And today at our side event at 4:45 in side event room 9, we will present these opportunities as well. So really there's so many opportunities powered by these new technologies that we can envision new solutions. So technology alone is not enough, but technology can enable so many social innovations, and it's good to have really this systemic thinking approach. What is our goal? And then let's look around what are the tools and the potential pathways to get there. I would like perhaps briefly to invite also Arvid from Bangladesh and Sweden, who is working on the long game, on gamification and also app development, perhaps a few perspectives, and then we will shortly come to an end.
Yeah, thank you, Miro, and thanks. Great work that you have been doing. So what Miro was referring to, that we have started during COP27. So this is an initiative called the Long Game. So, and what we are trying to do basically to consolidate such a force like yours, like the gamification and the apps that are revolutionizing climate action all over the world. And I have to say it's been a journey of a year, but I have been amazingly fulfilled and inspired by all the activities like yours that you're doing, particularly regarding music and concerts that do. So I think these are really vitally important. So I'm a scientist myself, but and all this basically started out of a scientific article where we found out there's a climate action sweet spot, and that's communities comprising 10,000 people. And what I see in the evidence is like yours, that the target group that you have is mostly around these numbers, these communities that you are hitting at the sweet spot right away. So so that's my reflection and a question to you. So what's the response that you are getting out of that? How do you feel after launching that?
We haven't watched this.
All right.
So are you?
Sure.
Yeah. So is it more so just like in general, like the festival and stuff like that? Because this we haven't put out there yet. But yeah.
Okay. No, excellent. But no, seems amazing, and we would be very happy to have you on board in the long game as well, because that's what we are trying to do. Basically, promote those initiatives from all around the world, because we think that they have to be heard in particularly in platforms like COP.
Yeah,
you know, that they can make a change.
The ideation behind this definitely stems from the global sort of mindset, which is it's maybe too big of a bite to think about how to save the world. But if you can create hubs in various cities or towns and allow for communal governance and communal action and shared space in community in different parts of the world, how can you use technology on a really local level? Technology has been booming towards a global scale so long that it has blanketed its agendas over communities that are smaller. And so the only platforms that you see focusing on small communities right now are things like Citizen or Nextdoor. You know, these are like neighbor kind of oriented platforms. And so and then the other platforms that we see are too small. It's about, you know, take a shorter shower today or use a paper straw, you know. So there needs to be platforms that allow for a happy medium where you feel like you're making a large impact in your space, your, you know, home. And that's kind of what we've been trying to think about with this platform too, is basically creating tools that can facilitate community on a local level that has global implications, you know. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Arvid. In this context, I would like just to add information about some efforts that we are working on. And one is the challenges mapping app that we are developing with my organization, iGlotcha, in the context of the Interreg Central Europe project for just energy transition in Central Europe. So we have the app developed. It's being uploaded to the App Store and Play Store and Apple Store these days. And it's giving people the opportunity to go in their neighborhoods, identify challenges, problems related to energy transition, but it's universal more or less that how you can use it. And then this communicates these early warning or whatever you want to call it to the relevant stakeholders, and it helps the people also to understand how this relates to these SDGs, energy transition problems. And another element that is part of this data and digital innovation infrastructure that we are building for a functioning global community is Global Challenges Action ID, because that we as global community really know who is doing what. We need to uniquely identify people in this virtual space as well, and also a Global Challenges Action Registry, because we need to give people the tools and the standards and everything that they can document what they are doing for the local and global common good. Having a mechanism for verification, reporting, verification, certification of these actions and impacts, so that it can be then also the basis for the flow of local and global resources to those who are engaging and enabling micro entrepreneurship for millions of people. And yeah, that's just something small. And I wanted to make the segue to the next presentation, which is coming up, because when we are talking about these digital tools, for us it's clear we have in our pockets our mobile phone, we have 4G or whatever, and but there are billions of people out there who don't have access to the internet. And so if we want to build a global community that is fair and not leaving anybody behind, we have to make sure we bridge the digital divide, that we have the access. And here Sama has some very good solutions. 2-3 sentences just as an intro to the next session.
Thanks, Miro. Ethan. No, stick around. Yeah. It's not.
Different streams, so just to explain
Okay.
the connection between the different sections.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks, Miro. Ethan, great work. I feel the passion in your voice and in your actions and what you're doing, the methodology that you're taking. It's interesting that you're like the Gen Z aspect of it. It seems like you figured like the secret sauce to keep them engaged and connected. Do you find that because they're so consumed with the day-to-day and they just lose focus, it's a problem in this the new generation, that I feel like almost like they're zombies in a way, right? And but you figured out a way, and I just wonder, was it like a trial and error, or is it because something that you related to yourself that you're able to figure out? I'm just trying to figure out the secret sauce that will kind of help my next discussion actually about being part of the shared and circular economy and keeping them focused.
Yeah, I mean, I have definitely a lot to say on that, because I think a lot of this comes from my thinking or learning on almost the sociology and the anthropology behind Gen Z. What makes them tick, what makes me tick. And I would have to preface that I would be speaking from a really minute area of Gen Z. Gen Z is a large conglomerate of people, and what I would be talking about is more of and where I think there's a secret sauce to anyone. We would be really thinking about the first world Western population, Gen Z, and when I think about that, the reason why we dived into music is because it's not about what makes them tick. Is they're swamped in the day-to-day, and yet they are, unconsciously, hence the zombie side of things, they're unconsciously glued to their phone, and you might have 30 things that you need to do to be taking care of yourself, but 3 hours out of the day, and probably more, you're going to spend it on these social media platforms, zoning out a little bit. We're also a really large this demographic that I think about, and the things that we consume, the underpinnings of what we consume, why we consume certain things. This has to be looked at through a cultural lens. And that's the thing that I think the UN SDGs often miss, is there are, 17 sustainable development goals, but I never see, and we come up with ideas about, how to solve creating bioplastics or creating different ways for more efficient recycling, but we never think about what are the cultural desires and how do you make that desirable. The biggest thing is desire. And so when it comes to Gen Z, leveraging them to take action towards a cause, number one is there's a common thread, which is the existential dread. All of us, and it's an age thing, not just a subject of the times that we're living in, which is you're having existential dread. You don't know what you're doing in the world. You're scared about your future. These are things that are liabilities that you can turn into assets that can be rocket fuel for you to actually take action. You can get rich emotion from those deep spaces. And then the other thing that I think about is if you look at TikTok Shop just launched, and that's interesting that you have a dedicated space for watching short form content. If you literally swipe your finger to the left, you now have a shopping mall. And they decided to put that in there because we're huge consumers and we consume and we consume based on what we're desiring. But what we're desiring and the underpinning of that usually comes from exclusivity, wanting to be part of the cool kids crew, wanting to be part of the thing that's trending or the viral thing. And that has to do with aesthetics, looks, feels, and functionality. But the other thing that we see really popular in the first world Western Gen Z is this exclusivity breeds desirability and mystery. We see that in street culture, streetwear culture, brands like Supreme or, Diamond Supply Co., whatever. And it's the idea that if you have this thing, you are wearing an ethos, you are wearing a status. And so how can you take the world of doing good, which is totally not about you and it's about the other, of it's about me. And that's a really hard nut to crack. I don't think we've actually found the secret sauce to it yet. We are still in the trial and error period, but I think what has worked for us is noticing that there's a really interesting sweet spot that you can play with, which is design, aesthetics, and leaning into mystery. Mystery breeds a lot of desirability. And if you can create something that feels unique and subversive and cool, you can actually aggregate a lot of people. You can develop a lot of intrigue. And that intrigue is that spark that gets you to click on that thing and go, I want to be a part of this crew, So that's my answer to that. I think the secret sauce is a lot of creating mystery, really creating really cool stories, basically.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Ethan.
Yeah.